Welcome to the Sustainable Travel Podcast. I'm Emma, your host from That Travel. Today I am here with Katie, who is a seasoned traveler and content creator whose passion project is all things travel and technology. And today we're going to be talking about travel in technology, whether it's a good or bad thing when it comes to sustainability. So you guys know this is a podcast that interviews a range of different travelers from different backgrounds to see what sustainable travel means to them. So, hi Katie.
Hi Emma, thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. I'm really happy to have you here. I know that you are like, whenever I end up talking to you about technology, I immediately feel extremely stupid. So thank you for for coming on. I feel stupid because I don't know a lot about it, but I know that you tend to make it very accessible. Like you're very good at kind of explaining technology to people who aren't as maybe aware of it. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some of that today.
Same. I am not a huge expert myself, but I love exploring. So whenever I have an idea, I just then check it. I ask other experts. So this is how I build my knowledge, and I love spreading it.
Yeah, I know that you always go on like complete research deep dives whenever there's a topic that you love, which is really similar to how I do things. And I feel like it's definitely like, well, maybe not the best way to learn, but it's a really good way to learn when you're enthusiastic about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us how you got into traveling more sustainably, because I know it's something you've gotten into recently. And also just why the interest in technology.
Sure. In general, I create content for social media focused on making travels more affordable, unique, but also tech savvy. I have background in communications, and also my creativity is always running wild. So I feel like the best way to channel it was through storytelling and helping people make their travel better, simply. Over time, I became more aware of the impact tourism has on environment. I had no idea in the past. But then I did some reading on the internet, but also I experienced it firsthand. Of course, things like trash everywhere, but also I always had things like, prices of products are so much higher because of tourists. And for example, last year I was in Mexico, and really local people couldn't afford basic products because the prices were so high because tourists could afford them. And also what was most striking for me, and I think this kind of started the snowball effect for me, was that the cost of a Coca-Cola bottle was lower than a cost of a bottle of water. So for local communities, it is very detrimental. And I think it is important that we simply realize and then take next steps. So my love for travel started with looking for ways to just travel smarter by using apps, gadgets, and digital tools to improve my experiences. But I think that it can be a game changer when it comes to environment as well.
Yeah.
And by technology, I don't only mean electronics. It can also be smart hacks like vacuum bags for packing. I love this one, and I'm always going to mention it. But it also can be like little gadgets. I have recently found this wristband that is waterproof, and you can put your phone, your money, anything that you want in it, and go swimming, surfing, snorkeling, and it will be safe. But what I love mostly about it is that for every wristband that you buy, they are going to clean 1 kilogram of plastic waste from oceans and beaches.
Amazing.
So if you're curious, it is called Bon Beachy, but it's just, excuse me?
Bon Beachy, did you say?
Bon Beachy, yes. Hilarious name as well. But I wanted to mention it because it's just one example how a little simple gadget can improve your experience, but also help the environment a little bit.
Yeah, which we're definitely going to come on to as well. So it's good to have like the first example there. When I spoke to you about sustainability for the first time, I think it must have been after Mexico, and you were very like conscious of it, and you kind of had this kind of awakening almost. And you were saying, you know, I saw this, I saw that, but one of the things was also, I think, the coral reefs as well, wasn't it?
Yes, if you know me, you know that I'm crazy about animals. And please don't kill me, but in some cases, I believe that animals are actually better than people, which is why I'm super passionate about wildlife conservation and avoiding any unethical encounters. So I went on this tour and I wanted to make sure that it's super sustainable, and it was amazing. But they made me aware that even touching corals can simply kill them. And on TV, when you watch some documentaries about coral reefs, they are also always so colorful and so, diverse. But then every time I went snorkeling, they were like grayish, and I had no idea. Maybe I was in a wrong spot. But apparently, this means that the coral is actually dead right now, and it was it was also so devastating for me because you had this expectation, oh, I'm going to see this, and then you don't, and that this is tourists' fault because they have to take a selfie or try to touch it for some other reason, like to feel if it's soft or not. But this is just something like a weird, stupid thing that we do, but that is going to ruin the environment.
Yeah, and I think also just sometimes like lack of awareness that because a lot of people don't even know that coral is an animal, like it's a living organism that's not a plant. Like I think a lot of people think the coral reef, right? It seems like it's just
like a rock.
Yeah, or like a flower bed or something. Like people think that kind of fish live in there and that's it. But obviously like coral is an animal. I think, isn't it closest to a jellyfish? It's like a polyps or something like that. I'm going to fact check myself on that, but it's closest to a jellyfish in like its DNA. So that's like a living, breathing thing. And when people, often I've seen it where they're wearing the flippers, because they think it makes them swim better. And then they just like lose their footing and touch down on the coral, like stand on it. And it's like you just stood on like an animal. Like it is a little bit heartbreaking. And especially when you realize, go on.
When you say that it is very often about awareness, it is very, very true.
Yeah.
So about corals, but also about touching a marine life. Sometimes there are those tours that let you touch a dolphin or something. Yeah. And I had no idea that fish and mammals, they have this special layer on their skin that is protecting them from many diseases. So even touching a wild animal can actually contribute to them getting a disease and then being prone to other predators and dying just because we wanted to pet them.
Yeah.
And I remember that I told that to one person that posted on social media, like a very cute video of petting a dolphin. I made her aware of that, and her reaction was just amazing. She said, "Oh, I had no idea. I'm going to tell them, to tell my audience as well, that they shouldn't do it." So it is important to just make people aware.
That's super encouraging, and I know that you're really good at this. Like, there's a lot of people who wouldn't have the confidence to reach out to someone and say, "Hey, like, I know you didn't mean this to be harmful, but unfortunately it is." And that's a very difficult conversation to have, like in general, on with anybody, like even just someone that you're close to. But a sort of stranger or like digital friend on social media, it's very hard. People really don't like it, and there's a lot of, we've used this phrase on this program before, but like cognitive dissonance of people just shut down and they're like, well, I didn't know, therefore it's fine. And you can't, like, you are just being mean and unkind. So yeah.
Oh yes, and I would say that very often I get negative responses as well. But then sometimes it depends. If the conversation is public, for example, in the comments, other people can read it and then make up their own mind. If you're, for example, using some sources, if you're telling them that you can read about it here and here. But I think people are less defensive if you go to their private messages and inform them about that, because they don't feel like it's some kind of, public shaming.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to know everything immediately, and it's just important to be open to some other facts.
Yeah, definitely. And while you're on the topic of marine life as well, you mentioned the touching. Obviously, that's a really important part because of the oils, the protective oils on the skins of like fish and dolphins, whales, that kind of thing. But also just getting too close, as well as something else you said about that, even in itself can be quite stressful to any wildlife, but in particular marine life. They are obviously used to having the open space of the sea, and generally in the sea, if something's chasing you, it's going to eat you, right? Like so a lot of marine life gets very stressed out. It can really like make their heartbeat go. Animals in the wild, they have a certain threshold for how stressed they can get, and over time that can really like lead to illness, disease, and even death. So we do need to be very careful of that as well. So it's a good point.
Also feeding animals by the companies just to lure them so that tourists can see them, which is why I always avoid places that guarantee the sighting of an animal, because if they do, they probably are
Feeding them,
feeding, yeah.
Yeah, and feeding them takes away. We've just done an episode on this actually. It was a really good one about feeding animals. So when you feed an animal, you basically take away its independence because it thinks, well, I can get food here. So it always returns to that spot. And there's loads of things that go on with it, but amongst other things, you can make them kind of sitting targets for predators, or you can increase the population to such a point where no other species or plant species can survive. So lots of things. So with all of that, like I know that those were the kind of turning points for you. What then now, as a kind of more informed traveler, do you think of as sustainable travel? What does that mean to you, that phrase?
I think I've mentioned it before that I think it is mostly about being mindful of your impact and then taking steps based on that. So impact environmental, cultural, and economical. I always used to laugh that when I go somewhere, I have to check the local McDonald's. So usually, I don't know if this is also relevant nowadays, but I think it is. In every country, McDonald's has this one product that is not anywhere else. Like in Poland, we have Village Mac.
What?
Yeah. And for example, in Oslo, in Norway, I ate a burger with fish. So this was something that I just had to do. But since I became more aware, I am now trying to support local businesses rather than big corporations. And I know that locals are working in this McDonald's, but it is anyway better to just go to a local restaurant. And it doesn't mean that I'm going anywhere. So I'm always, as a person with some certain health issues, I always have to check for quality. So I use Google Maps and check the reviews. And I have a hack about that I'm probably going to mention later.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. I am prioritizing public transport when I can. I am walking whenever it is possible. Sometimes it is going to take me more time, but maybe I will be. I will have some kind of unexpected adventure. This is also connected to traveling slower and more intentionally.
Yeah.
I used to always have this mindset that if I'm going somewhere, then I'm probably not going to be here ever again. So I have to use this time to the maximum. I have to check every single site. Even if I'm not interested in something, this is famous, I've read about it somewhere, or I've seen it on social media, so I have to be there. But right now, I am usually adding all the spots to my Google Maps. So I know that it is there, but then before my trip or during my trip, I am making informed decisions if I want to go there, if this place is, for example, ethical, or if I have time, if I would rather do something else, if maybe my body needs some more time to relax after some big adventure on the day before. So I am prioritizing slower travel. And the most important thing for me is the avoiding unethical wildlife experiences.
Yeah.
I am going to Sri Lanka in just 2 weeks. Super excited about that. And I think this country is very problematic when it comes to animal encounters. They have multiple national parks and some sanctuaries for animals, and not only for elephants, but also, for example, for turtles, some hatcheries. So what I did, and this is the hack that I wanted to mention before, I go into the Google reviews, and even if the like the final score is very, very high, I always filter by the lowest, and
Yeah.
I just read what people write there. Because sometimes, of course, people are going to complain about some weird things, but usually you will find opinions of people that are more informed about sustainability, and that are going to tell you. For example, there was this sanctuary near a national park that I'm going to visit, and everybody was like, "Oh yes, you're not even going close to the elephants, and you'll see a little elephant just running free." But then I've read that, yeah, but they are running free next to the platform where all the tourists are, because people that are working there are like using electricity to head them to this specific spot. And then, if an elephant is making a noise because it's painful, tourists laugh, so they're doing it again.
Yeah.
Which was like heartbreaking for me, because this place was being advertised as one of the best ones when it comes to ethical encounters, but actually wasn't. So
Yeah.
my advice would be always to check for the lowest.
So for you then, sustainable travel is like trying to have a bit more awareness of kind of everything and like how everything can impact, but kind of above all, it's this ethical wildlife
I
phenomenon.
would say so,
Yeah.
yes. Yesterday we were buying insurance for our trip, and my husband was wondering if we should also buy the adventure sports.
Mm.
And we were looking through the entire list of sports that are considered normal or the extreme ones. And he said, "Oh, look, here are like rides on elephants." And if my luck could kill,
So
like,
it
we're
covers
not
it,
going to do this.
and it covered it.
uh, no, actually, it was considered as a normal sport. It wasn't the extreme one. They had some really weird options in there.
Wow. That's intense. But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Sri Lanka, just to briefly circle back, because I think this is not the purpose of our conversation at all, but just to briefly detour. Like when we're talking about Sri Lanka, this is a country that tourism has been growing in the last few years, and for one reason or another, it's not to do with like local people and their opinion on animals. Like the ethical wildlife tourism industry there has not grown at such a great rate. It's more kind of stuck with traditional extractive tourism. And actually, at the moment, as we had that discussion, there's no ethical sanctuaries in Sri Lanka at all. The only place to see them ethically is in the wild or in certain national parks with very specific guides, having to be very careful about which ones you choose. So that's a great reminder for me that sometimes, this awareness, it might lead to sacrifices, right? Like it might be the case that you can't do this bucket list activity that you wanted to do. But for me, it is worth it. And I think for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. I will not see turtles, for example. I won't visit any hatchery. I am going to go to Udavalava National Park, and hopefully my guide will be ethical. If not, I will tell him. Just have to think about how to do it respectfully. But yeah, I am definitely going to sacrifice some bucket list items and not to do anything that would be detrimental.
Yeah. Which is a shame, but it is, in my opinion, like there are better experiences. Like imagine seeing an elephant in the wild, like it's going to be so incredible for you. So let's come on.
Heard that there is this one elephant that goes onto the road.
I saw this Ramu, right? It was on.
I have no idea, but it just takes a tax from tourists, like a banana, for example. Like you're feeding wildlife, but then it won't let you pass because this is how people kind of trained him. But yeah, it is hilarious.
He was on David Attenborough, like one of the documentaries that we were watching. I think he's called Ramu, and he's just amazing. Like I mean, it's not, obviously it is bad that people feed him, but like he's apparently like a very friendly giant and like kind of has it pegged which trucks will give him food and which ones weren't. Like animals are amazing. But anyway, let's come on to technology. So we've kind of talked about like there's various areas where technology gets a bit of a a bad reputation or a bit of a bashing when it comes to sustainable travel. Why do you think that is?
There are many reasons. First one is e-waste or carbon footprint of some tech companies that are very often trying to hide this.
Mm.
But also short product life cycles like phones, cameras, and in general batteries.
Mm.
People try to buy new gear every year just because they need to have the best, the newest model of, let's say, an iPhone, without considering the possibility to maybe repair what they have right now or resell. And my advice here would be to buy something that's of better quality. I know that sometimes it is very expensive, but it's worth investing into, both from the environmental perspective, but also for you, because you will not have to rebuy a new thing after a few months, let's say. It will last you for years. And it's not only about technology, it's also about clothes and other things, of course. I also recommend not buying something that's entirely new. So, for example, going to a pawn shop and checking if a product that you're interested in is there. And if you want to buy a new phone, maybe,
I just want
yeah,
to clarify, we mean pawn, Pawn.
huh?
When you say a pawn shop, you mean Pawn, right?
Yes.
Good.
So, okay, I will pronounce it in a different way.
No, it's fine. It is how you pronounce it. They're both the same, but I just wanted to clarify for
Okay. Pawn shops. Buy a dildo. Okay, cut that out.
but yeah, going to like refurbished shops and making sure that people are you know, I always buy my tech secondhand and I do worry, like, is it going to last me as long? Is it going to be as good? But mostly it's pretty good now.
I think if you're buying from a private person somewhere on the internet, you maybe risk a bit more. You have to know certain stuff. So if you have, for example, a friend that is more tech savvy than you, it is a good idea to just ask them to go with you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have this like official place where you can buy stuff, that you are usually checking.
Mm-hmm.
And if the price is really, really reduced, then probably something is wrong with this equipment. Maybe there's something that's not working. So you can just ask the person who should be an expert. But yes, just reselling or buying something that was used before, it is a great idea, according to me.
Yeah.
Second thing I wanted to mention is the using massive amounts of energy by data centers, cloud storage, or simply also AI that I personally am using a lot, what people might know about me. And till recently, I wasn't aware that every query that you write into the AI system, it is heating the system up a little bit, so it needs huge amounts of water to cool it down. And I know that certain companies are using some measures to, for example, use different fluids than water to make it like more reusable. So the last thing that I wanted to mention is over tourism driven by social media.
Yeah.
So viral locations that become overcrowded, and it's sometimes enough for one person to post something like, a great angle, great lighting, and then also, of course, the place is amazing. But then it encourages the bucket list tourism. You have to visit this place, and we see a lot of videos. You have to visit this place before you die.
Yeah.
It is sometimes harming fragile locations, like, for example, the Maya Bay in Thailand that was closed because of over tourism. And many destinations also had because of this hit and run tourism. So people just go there, take a picture, and leave without contributing to economy or supporting in any other way.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned kind of three things there. Let's just recap them and then we can break them down. So, first of all, we've got this overconsumption of electronics, people constantly needing the latest tech. Like, I know I've been in the past affected by this too, like always having the best smartphone to take pictures, always having the selfie sticks, the, whatever else it is that you need to buy to go traveling these days, GoPros, that sort of thing. Then you mentioned data banks and AI and how AI it has these huge storage banks of information, right? But it also has its own environmental issues to do with overheating, to do with energy consumption. And then lastly, we've got the tech side being social media, which is also encouraging a different kind of tourism that might not necessarily be beneficial for the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I have like a lot to say on all of those things, of course. Like I think they're all really valid points to bring up. But in particular, I think with this overconsumption, we have gotten into this mindset of like, if I don't have the latest technology, my photos will not be as good. My experience almost will be impacted. Like I won't have as good a time. And this is like obviously it's very easy to fall into this mindset. So I'm not saying this with any judgment, but when you really break that down and think about it, it is wild that we do that. Like we don't need that stuff to travel, you know?
Yes, they can improve your travels or your travel souvenirs or photos, for example, at some point, to some point, but um, there were all those videos taken when the newest iPhone was released, comparing the new one with, let's say, 4 models back, like just recording side by side, and there was no difference. Of course, if you want to shoot something and then have it on a big screen, like cinema screen or something,
Yeah.
it would matter that your camera has more pixels.
Yeah.
But for your own needs, for social media, you don't need the latest one. If
Yeah.
yours is getting like you can't fix it, or the battery is not lasting as long, and it just gets it would be bad for you to keep using that.
Mhm.
Okay, it makes sense to buy a new one, because just like with shoes, if yours are broken, they have holes, you buy new ones. And we don't say that you can't buy a new product because yours is used simply.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just don't need new things.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, we're going to come on to later, like what people can do instead. And there's a way that you can, like, I kind of even like get in my head about this phrase, buy new. It's like you can get a different one, like it doesn't need to be buy new, get new. Like it's all this kind of mindset that we've gotten into as a society is like, oh, my thing is not like, I'm bored of my thing, therefore I'm going to get a new thing. And to me, it's like it's really become a hot topic this year in 2025 of like overconsumption and general like just wastage. And I don't know if you know this phrase, but planned obsolescence. So where companies make a model so that it like can't be fixed after a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
That's called planned obsolescence, which means essentially it's determined to break. Like
Yep.
the company is
After the warranty period, basically.
yeah, or just in general, like after say 3 years, all
Mhm.
smartphones are kind of not,
Yeah.
they're not going to be as good. They've got too many updates, they're too glitchy. That's by design. Companies do that on purpose to make you buy new things. And I could go on a huge long rant, which I'm not going to, but to me, it is just like it's something that we all need to push past. We need to push past this and not keep doing it.
On the other hand, if you want to, let's say, change your phone, because let's say you know that in a year it's not going to be as good,
Mhm.
which means that you might find it difficult to find somebody that will buy it and will enjoy it for the next couple of years. It will also make sense. But I know that there are people that just want to buy new iPhone every year, and
Yeah,
then the old one is just going into the drawer.
yeah. Or the trash,
Yeah.
which is just as bad. And then let's come back to AI because I think that's a bit of a complex topic that we're going to talk about in the solutions. But when you then talked about over tourism and the way that places can be presented on social media, so I have quite strong feelings on this that if someone is going to share a photo or a video, then like I don't think they should gatekeep the destination. Like I do think they should share where it is, following leave no trace principles, because leave no trace is very clear on like there are certain ways to do this. There are certain things you can say that can encourage people to behave better. You can share areas instead of coordinates, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's kind of more in our solutions chat as well. But I do feel that people should share the location, but the issue is, in my opinion, the way it's done. So often you'll get this, like what I call hidden gem culture, where people will be sharing places like, this is a complete hidden gem. And it's the sensationalism of the content that makes people feel like, oh my goodness, I must rush there now. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
won't be a hidden gem, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, it won't be this special place in a few years because everybody else is going to know about it. So I have to go there now. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, and this like sensationalism, I think, is the entire problem because people are so keen to go viral, which is very understandable, but people are so keen to have their content seen that they sometimes do sensationalize, overhype, like kind of big places up and do things that really aren't that great for the place, the destination, the community itself, because they're so busy focusing on, you know, their views, their content. And I think that's really damaging.
Yeah, and I also agree that if you're sharing a place, you should say where it is. Maybe not exactly, maybe the area,
Mm.
as you mentioned, but it also is contributing to views sometimes. Like, you show this
Yeah.
amazing place, but then you don't say where it is, and you get hundreds of comments where.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's a really dodgy tactic. And it's, again, not good for the place because then people go kind of determined to seek it out. And it might be this tiny spot, you know, it's better just to share it openly, but also say with context, like, this place is very small, it can't handle a lot of tourists, you know. Say it's like a village in the middle of like the Kyrgyzstan mountains, which I've seen shared before as like a hidden gem. And I'm like, are you serious? It's a village like where people live, and like you're gonna say this reel went viral, which it had potential to do. And then you've got this influx of tourists to this tiny village, and people don't think, like, they don't understand and make the kind of distinction between actually, this is a really small village. Maybe it can't hold as many people. Maybe it doesn't have infrastructure and hotels and trains and buses. They just go there with these expectations, and then they get there and they're like, oh, there's no hotels. Oh, there's no buses. So
But on the other hand, there are a lot of new tourists, so the infrastructure is getting built
yeah,
because locals see that there is a need. So there are a lot of new hotels, new restaurants, but then people go there, and this was supposed to be a hidden gem.
yeah.
So why do they have so many like modern buildings, for example?
Yeah, it's in lots of ways very problematic, mostly for locals, which is the issue. Like a community of, say, 1,200 people, which is what this village was that I saw, can't sustain an influx of that many people at once. And if they
Mhm.
can, things need to change really rapidly, which is not only bad for the environment, but usually bad for them because a lot of the hotels built will need to be international chains where the money doesn't really trickle down as much. But again, that's kind of worst case scenario. Like I think there are times when social media and technology and stuff can be used for good. Um, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. And then when we get into like traveler behavior when it comes to technology, let's talk about a few of the solutions. What do you think? Because you've mentioned a few already. What do you think people could be doing differently, or how can these systems change to help?
I mostly want to talk about AI because I don't think people realize that you don't have to give up using it entirely.
Hmm.
You can do these little things. First one is cache responses.
Hmm.
So log in and make sure that if you ask a question, it is saved in the history because you might want to go back to it. You might want to be reminded the exact like location of a place that AI recommended to you, and you don't have to then ask again. You just can verify what it said before.
So you need to be
Uh,
logged in to do that, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second thing is stop or limit the answers. So if you see that AI has already responded to something, you can click the stop icon, and then it simply won't use the system anymore. You can also tell it to give you an answer in like 200 words or less. Because usually AI will give you this whole essay on a topic with introduction, like summary. You don't need that to get the response that you need. There are also those trends of, ask AI what you might not realize about yourself, but what it knows about you from your previous conversations. I know that it might be interesting and you might be curious, but it is something that you don't have to do. You don't have to check that.
The one that gets me is ask AI to roast you. Why?
Yes,
Why do you need that?
exactly.
Just helpful.
Yeah, I agree. So these, but also you might want to research some other AI companies. We have a few big players. I am usually using ChatGPT by OpenAI, but for the last few days we have a new player on the market, which is DeepSeek. And I was absolutely sure that it does not care about the environment, but I read some reports, and of course I think more research needs to be conducted because it is a very new tool. But apparently from what I read, it might be even better than all the old companies. For example, because it is much cheaper, much more accessible, and it will probably prioritize sustainability more than, for example, OpenAI.
Okay.
So take a look, do some reading, and then decide.
Good. So it's encouraging basically the research.
Yes.
Yeah, so AI is a really good one. I think a lot of people don't realize that AI can be harmful, but of course this data storage is something that we have been aware of for a while with like Google and things like that. Like data centers are really big, and it's one of the reasons that I'm really guilty of this. It's one of the reasons why, you should clear out your inbox, you should delete your photos if you can. But AI is storing all this information constantly, and with it being used more and more, like this becomes more of an issue.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great point. We've kind of addressed the overconsumption one, I think, already, but I just wanted to echo what you said when you first started talking about this, which are there are a lot of great refurbished sellers who sell this tech for, there are people, we know this, who will get the latest tech, test it, try it out, ditch it, move on. And unfortunately, because those people exist, there is a lot of tech out there that is still in brand spanking new condition, hasn't been used, basically, and just needs a little touch up, like maybe a polish, like maybe it just needs to be wiped. And then you can buy it from these refurbished sellers. There's one that I use called Back Market. It's fantastic. I really like them. I get all my tech from there if I get it. Write it down, make notes.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're available in mainland Europe, but they're really good in the UK, and they have I think it's 30 or 90-day warranty, and they will chat you through like any issues with your tech. Obviously it's a bit better to go to someone more official, like you said, than just someone, in the street.
Yeah, but what people don't realize is sometimes the actual company that produced the product, they also have the option to buy refurbished products. And one great example is DJI, so the company that produces the action cameras, drones, of course. They have special category, and usually these products are sometimes something that people just return because they realize that they don't need it, that they're not really flying their drones. And what they're doing is when they get a product like that, they're checking it. So like it is the company that produced it, so they know everything. If anything needs to be replaced, they are doing this. And also they're giving you full warranty. It is exact warranty that you would get with a new product. You can also buy this special insurance that they have. So there is nothing like worse about this.
Yeah.
And it is going to be also so much cheaper for you. And yeah, people just don't realize that they can do it.
And they don't even look. That's the thing. There's also, I don't know if you know about this. I mean, I have to say, first of all, I'm not an Amazon fan. Like I'm not saying use Amazon, but there's also Amazon returns, which if you can't find your tech anywhere else and you see there's like a phenomenal price on Amazon, which again, like I do recommend looking anywhere else first, but they also have this return system where basically it'll be things where people have just got it, used it for maybe 3 days, and then sent it back within the like 30-day
Yeah.
guarantee or whatever it is they get. These products are usually basically unused. And Amazon will, they will destroy them otherwise. Like they have huge warehouses full of stuff that they will just like throw out, which then
Yeah,
gets.
I have a colleague, let's say at work, who is always buying shoes via the internet, like a shop that is not as huge as Amazon, but also quite big.
Mhm.
And she has no idea which size she should get. So she's getting like four exact same shoes, different
How
sizes.
does she not know her
Then
shoe size?
like sometimes different companies might have a bit different ones, and then she just leaves one of them and then sends everything else back.
Right.
But then the company cannot sell that as a
Right.
new product. They have to put it as the used outlet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of places now where you can get
Yeah.
basically new tech, and I think it's definitely worth considering. We won't probably go into the social media side of it because I do think that's a slightly
Mhm.
separate issue, which we've covered a few times on the show anyway. Let's talk about technology that is doing good things for sustainability. You're great at researching these. So you mentioned this wristband at the beginning. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So this is like a little pouch that you just put on your arm, your wrist or your arm, whatever. And then I haven't tested it yet. Okay, I'm bringing it with me to Sri Lanka, so I hope it is as great as I hope it is.
Yeah.
Because if not, I will be without my phone.
So we're not
Uh,
endorsing it yet. We're going to try it first.
exactly. But it is like a very small thing because in the past I used this waterproof pouch and it wasn't huge, but it took some space in my luggage. And if you know me, you know that I'm trying always to fly with carry-on only. I won't be able to do it this time because I'm going to spend almost a month abroad. And well, I know that some people can pack just into a small backpack and survive, but I'm not that good yet.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but it is like really, really small, and it will hopefully do the job.
Yeah. And they donate to what when you buy one and they donate to a charity, is that right?
Um, Not sure. So
Okay.
this is something that I would have to research more. I just know that like they make sure that 1 kilogram of plastic waste is cleaned.
Cool.
Um, I think the owner of the company is also very passionate about oceans, which is why he decided that this is going to be his priority.
Really cool. We know that some technology is like kind of really making waves, like we've said. We've got this example of the wristband, but what would you kind of love to see from technology to improve sustainability overall then?
Something that is happening more and more, which is digital tickets, for example, to reduce paper waste.
Hmm.
Uh, Sometimes we have so many just sheets of paper that we have to present while traveling, where you can just show it on your phone.
Hmm.
And it is mostly okay in majority of places right now, which I think is amazing. I would also like to see better public transport booking platforms.
Yeah.
I know that not a lot of countries have them, and it would be great if simply governments would just focus on having something like that for them. I was struggling when finding public transport in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
There were some platforms, but they weren't really working great. And I was looking for trains or buses, but the only thing that it offered me was taxis.
Mm.
And something that I think can be quite controversial is sometimes you want to go somewhere, but you know that it will be expensive, and you don't have time, etc. So you might want to explore the VR experiences. There are those special apps, for example, that let you just put on the goggles and
Mm.
feel as if you are in the place.
Mm.
as I said, it might be controversial, and I know that it's not the same, but this is something that I know that a lot of people recommend considering.
Yeah, I've seen this too. I'm not sure how I feel.
What's your opinion?
Well, it's not for me, right? It's not for me. But then that's because one of the things I love about traveling is like the smell and like the general like feel, like, you know, when you step off like the runway and it's like really hot and that kind of thing. Like that
Yeah.
for me is like super, that's an important part of the experience. That being said, like I think they're really important because in the likes of, say, for example, travelers with disabilities that prevent them from traveling. And I know that's not everyone with a disability, but those who have them and can't, like, or don't feel they can get to these places, they're a great alternative. Or for, you know, children who might be like a bit too young and can get an idea of it. Like I've seen people recommend these before, or for endangered destinations where like we really shouldn't travel. You know, I think they can be a good alternative of like try and experience it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or like for educational purposes at
Yeah.
school, showing people Antarctica, for example.
Yeah.
I think that this is cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, definitely. And there's, you mentioned like better public transport booking systems. I just wanted to shout out a couple that I use really regularly and I really like, and I'll pop the links maybe in the description just so people have them. But one I use is Busbud. So Busbud is, I feel like they're not as well known as they really should be, but they basically collate like anything that's available to book online in bus format. You can book
Hmm.
it there. So if it can't be booked online, they don't offer it. So like there's parts of like Tanzania that I visit regularly where like I can't book it on there. But if the
Hmm.
bus is bookable via any booking site, then it will be available on Busbud normally. So you can do like between Tanzania and Kenya, you can do all over South America. They have loads in like Southeast Asia, that kind of thing. So I really love them. And the other one, I don't know whether it's pronounced 12 Go or 12 Go, but it's a website.
That's the one that let me down in Sri Lanka.
Did it? Because
So I know that a lot of people recommended it, but
I use it in
it just,
Thailand.
yeah.
And well, it's a shame to hear they let you down in Sri Lanka. I know that in Thailand, when I've used it, I've been like, because I haven't recently been to Thailand, but I had a look at it when I was trying to help my cousin plan his trip, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it's really got like everything, like every
Mhm.
single option.
Yeah, so I've read a lot of recommendations, but I really checked it for like multiple dates, multiple locations, and it just showed me taxis. And
Right.
I didn't try like check any unpopular places. Like I've tried to find transport from the capital city to one of the biggest tourist like destination in the country. So it was surprising, but maybe it's just me not being tech savvy enough.
Yeah, right. It's probably more likely that that kind of transport doesn't exist in the areas you're going, or it's more like local and not bookable online.
Yeah, maybe not
Yeah.
bookable online.
Interesting. And so for you then, I know you use like all kinds of apps and gadgets, but are there some that you would really recommend as like your go-tos for travelers?
So when it comes to something that I like can't travel without, it's going to be my phone because I'm freaking addicted and it needs to be here, even if like I can't look at it, which is problematic for me because I'm really addicted. But in general, it depends on a location and it depends on what I'm planning to do somewhere. So for any kind of adventure travel, I will probably take my action camera
Mhm.
because it is just small, lightweight, and sometimes I don't have to carry some other equipment.
Is that a
I
GoPro?
Excuse me.
Is it like a GoPro? It's a DJI.
Yeah, exactly. um, I have sold my camera, like photography, because I decided that it's not something that I will use. I just gave it to the person that will use it.
Mhm.
But action camera is something that I usually take with me on all the trips. It is compact, durable, and it will help me capture moments, for example, with wildlife without interrupting it. when I know that I'm going to do some interaction with water, so like for example snorkeling, I always try to take something that's going to be waterproof and protect my stuff, like the wristband that we talked about, like the pouch. I always pack in vacuum bags because I'm trying to fit in the smallest luggage possible. And I'm also thinking about investing in a solar powered power bank.
I have one.
So that, it's great for remote locations with no electricity. And I've had that it is an issue in some locations that I surely would like to visit in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We
you
have
recommend it.
the power bank. Yeah, I do recommend it. So I have a power bank and I have a solar panel. I'm so
Okay.
weird. I literally take a solar panel with me because so when we were traveling, when we were backpacking rather, and we were in some quite remote parts of Africa, like it was the power bank doesn't really charge up. So when you put it in the sun, like it does take probably a day, like a full 24 hours just to get one phone charge, which is okay. Like, I guess that's just how it works. So what we tend to do is charge up that power bank using actual electricity from like, a main source. And then we'll use that for like the 4 charges as needed. And then if we were going, because we went quite a few times like off grid and we just were either camping or with like very local families and like very local accommodation with local families, that kind of thing, and we wouldn't have had a power source, then we would use the solar panel. So it's very lightweight, it's very compact, it's kind of thin like
Yeah.
a tiny little MacBook. And we just unfold it. It's got 4 panels. I think ours is like, no, I'm going to embarrass myself, but I think it's like 70 watts or whatever it is. Yeah, we just fold that out, plug the phone in, and as long as it's in full sun, that will charge. So it's that you don't
Yeah.
even need power storage to use it. But I think a combination of the two is best. Like I wouldn't have just one.
So it just reminded me about a hat that I've recently found. I remember that it was ridiculous when it came to the appearance, but also the price. But
Okay.
you had like a sun hat
Yeah.
that was covered in solar panels, and it had this cord like right behind your head that you could connect to your power bank, to your phone, and just charge. Like the concept was great, but yeah, I can't even remember the name of the company.
That is hilarious. We have a like a hat. My mum got it for us for Christmas. It's dead funny. But when we're walking the dog, it's like a woolen hat, and on the
Yeah.
front of it has like a torch. So when we need to take the dog out at night and like throw his ball or like pick up after him, we just pop the light on, and it's very very funny to look at us. We look like complete dweebs, but we love it. Very grateful for the present, and I think these kind of gadgets like that. Maybe they're the future, but maybe they're a gimmick. I don't know. What's your opinion?
Depends what, like, if I believe that sometimes when people make up a new product, the price is so high that people simply cannot afford it.
Yeah,
And if you only give the products to like influencers, but then your real audience will see it and say, okay, this would be great, but it is just too expensive,
yeah,
it's not going to become more popular. I understand that the costs of production of these products are also very high, especially if you just create a few items at the beginning. So it is a difficult topic.
yeah. I think
But yeah, which is why sometimes when huge companies create a new product like that, it is becoming more popular because they have more money to invest in it. They know that they can offer a cheaper price, which is why people are going to buy it, and there's just then the amount will bring them money. But then when local small companies, small businesses think about something like that, it is going to be problematic for them to make them popular.
yeah.
Um, yeah, if possible, and if you think that something is worth your money, your time, then I would say, yeah, go for it, because the effect that it might have in the future could be great.
It's true. We didn't even talk about supporting small tech companies, but they're also like really important to the conversation. Thank you so
And
much.
there are these like portals like Kickstarter, for example, I think is
Yeah,
the
Marie
most
does stuff.
the most popular one, where you can find little companies that have amazing ideas but just don't have the funds, so you can go there and support them. I have done it multiple times, and I have amazing gadgets from some really small tech companies.
Yeah, and also in terms of the apps, I was gonna say you shared an app the other day, and I don't know where you find these apps sometimes, but it was the one about finding public toilets. Is it called Flush?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that you find these.
I can't remember how I find that one, but I think very often I just find them on other profiles, but then I compile them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just come across them on the internet because, I'm looking for something, or like Pinterest, because Pinterest knows what you have been looking for before. So it just gives you recommendations.
Yeah.
Or even some ads of a place. So I remember. Oh, okay. I remember. I saw an ad of a company an ad of an app
Yeah.
that shows you gluten-free restaurants.
Cool.
So it was like, if you have, gut problems, then you might want to install this app and it will be great. So I went into the App Store.
Mhm.
I saw that the reviews of the app were totally like terrible. People basically telling that it is a scam, they're just trying to get your data, etc. But then the next app on the list was Flush.
Right.
And it had amazing reviews. So I was like, okay, what is that? Because I think it had a toilet as an icon. So I just wanted to check it out.
Instantly.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you write a keyword into your search engine in your app store, like Google Store, etc., and it will show you things related to this topic. You sometimes even have to type travel to
Yeah.
see some apps that are, would be useful for a traveler.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, unless you have anything else to add, I will wrap up.
No, I don't think so. I think I've mentioned everything that I wanted to.
Yeah, we've definitely covered a lot in this. Well, Katie, thank you so much. You've been an awesome guest. This has been the Sustainable Travel Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Sustainable Travel Podcast, or we also have a Facebook group, which is called Sustainable Travel Tips Group. If you're listening on Spotify or on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for listening.